feel like I should clarify something first. JoJo's Bizarre Adventures is my favorite anime, but just because I love it doesn't mean I'm not going to criticize this. And by the way, I'm not hating on JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, I'm just hating on the first part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Phantom Blood. And when I found out Super iPatch Wolf, who made an amazing series on why you should watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, made a video about JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Part 1, I decided to debunk it. Because the first part is an awful place to start this amazing series. And the reason why most people drop JoJo's is its incompetence. So let's jump into it, shall we?
JoJo's kind of a dumb name, I thought, as I placed the book back on the shelf.
Oh my, what a coincidence. I thought JoJo was a dumb name too, the first time I saw it. Well, it's not. This is not what I'm trying to say, so let's move on.
What's incredible here is that despite how influential JoJo's is, there's still nothing quite like it.
True, no one has ever been able to capture the beauty of bizarreness compared to JoJo. Except, like if you read Junji Ito's stories, which are nothing like JoJo's in terms of, comedy and stuff, but I mean, there's a similar bizarre nature to both of these. Well, the weirdness of Junji Ito is pretty comparable to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. If you imagine stands in Junji Ito's horror stories, they would pretty much be JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I mean, like, the fashion model Tomie, the spiral is someone's stand, that would be pretty amazing. Yeah, so on and so on. Okay, I'm kind of getting off track here. Let's go back to the video. And by the way, I still don't have anything to criticize regarding the things he said, so...
And while being one of Shonen Jump's longest running series, the earlier parts still hold up incredibly well.
That's kind of arguable. No, you yourself mentioned how things get better with time. I mean, the JoJo's chapters get better with time. Chapters or series or something. This ever-evolving nature of the series is what kept me interested in every arc, except for Phantom Blood. This is why I decided to make this video.
And all 8 have a star-shaped birthmark on their left trapezius.
Do they though? I mean, Josuke, I don't think Josuke had one. I mean, maybe he did, I didn't really see it.
And I think Ariaki's willingness to move on from a character once their story's been told accounts both for JoJo's inexhaustible staying power as well as Ariaki's vastly improved character writing over the years.
Yeah, you just admitted that it gets better with time, didn't you? The evolution of Ariaki's writing. All the parts aren't equal, this is an awful part. This is just a nitpick, but
Now with all that in mind, we need to start somewhere, and no better place than the original JoJo, Jonathan Joestar.
No better place? I would disagree. I would very much disagree. Jonathan Joestar is probably the worst place to start. But since we are talking about Phantom Blood, let's talk about Jonathan Joestar.
And from the moment that Dio turned and glared at the camera, I could feel that this was something I was probably going to enjoy.
Nope. I mean, the first time I watched Phantom Blood, I just dropped it. Probably watched 2 episodes and I was like, no, JoJo's isn't worth it. That is what happened to most people when they start with Phantom Blood. This is why I really don't suggest people start with Phantom Blood. It's like starting the Star Wars with the prequels. If they start with the prequels, they are probably not going to like the series. JoJo's is just like that. If you start with Phantom Blood, you are probably not going to like JoJo's because it's substandard, even for a random hero's journey story.
The supernatural showdown that takes place between these 2 adoptive brothers is at the heart of Phantom Blood.
Well, that's why I said Phantom Blood is disappointing. The battles in Phantom Blood in general are pretty much just strong people just beating each other, I guess. And besides, every special attack is just something that he just pulls out of his ass. Like, without any establishment, they just use superpowers, I guess. that is just annoying and it gets tiresome.
But for reasons that I'll get into later, I'd like to go and instead examine our main antagonist, Dio Brando.
This is why he talks about Dio Brando first, because Dio is at least a little bit more interesting than Jonathan Joestar.
To me, the real strength of Phantom Blood is the duality of its two central characters.
Well, if you want to say it's duality, sure. I think that what Araki tried to do with Phantom Blood was that he tried to, well, we are supposed to look at why Jonathan Joestar doesn't just give up and, be antagonistic towards Dio Brando, despite him being very cruel to him. And, it's like, I get the feeling that even in this series, he was trying to break the hero. Because that's what he did in the second season. He created the anti-hero. I mean, sure, there probably were anti-heroes before Hirohiko Araki, but just the selfish protagonists who just save the world because of their own best interests. That's what makes Araki's stories much more impressive than what people give him credit for.
But what separates Dio from other irredeemable villains, and trust me guys, Dio is fucking irredeemable.
No, he isn't irredeemable. I mean, pretty much all the villains are redeemable. And part 7, the Steel Ball Run, the roles are absolutely reversed. The villain is trying to save America, but the hero is just fighting the villain because of his pride. And it's really fantastic. I mean, I don't like to just label people irredeemable, even characters, because irredeemable looks more like this.
Brave children, who do not falter at the prospect of setting foot inside the chasm, please take a step forward.
Each of Dio's scenes in the first 3 episodes tell us something new and important about the character, and often in a way that's subtler than you might expect.
No, the show doesn't really go that deep. Dio is just a person who had to face very unfortunate circumstances, but that doesn't, justify what his behavior. And besides, who knows why Dio acts like this? We only get a glimpse of his life for a few moments. We don't know much about him. Maybe there's some deep-seated hatred in him because of something justifiable, and he's just taking it out on other people, like Jonathan Joestar. It's not that subtle really. And besides, it's less of telling new things and more of reinforcing the same thing, that Dio is in an unfortunate circumstance, but he doesn't deserve our sympathy because he's not a moral person, I suppose.
1. The setting itself. This scene takes place in a grimy pub. The fact that Dio is frequenting a place like this means it's probably fair to assume that both him and his family are not members of society's elite. 2. Despite his young age, he's intelligent enough to defeat a more experienced older player with what seems like some degree of ease. 3. Getting his head slammed shows that this is obviously not a situation he chooses to be in willingly.
The first 2, yeah, sure. The third one, well, sure, he got his head slammed in food. I mean, what is that, potato salad? I mean, either way, it doesn't matter. Look, if someone who has more social influence than you and is stronger than you slams your head into, well, a bunch of food and bullies you, well, you can't really fight back now, can you? I mean, you would want to, but, in order to not escalate things far, I mean, that's not some brilliant thing. It's just people just want to do something but they just can't.
Rather, he's frustrated. The choice not to pick up the fork seems to be a tactical one.
No, it's really not that much of a good establishment. It's just that, it's like code class. We don't even get to see how he wins the chess match, chess or checkers, I don't know what they were playing. Well, and besides, who knows, maybe Dio is extremely smug, that's why that older guy bullies him. But that doesn't justify bullying a person, and I'm not trying to justify it. And by the way, Dio is not that calculated. I mean, his strategy is to literally try to poison his adopted father without thinking that Jonathan would find out. Although not irredeemable, but it's just silly.
While he's certainly not an overly complicated character, his innocence and enthusiasm are endearing.
Is it really endearing? I mean, I got annoyed really fast. I was like, okay, when does some other JoJo come in? Because this JoJo isn't working for me. Perhaps this is simply a matter of subjective opinion, but I must say, it's really hard to like Jonathan Joestar.
Already we have two well-defined characters, both of whom have grander things they wish to aspire to.
Well defined. Give me a break. Not really. Dio is kind of filled with hate and, well, he's just trying to take his hatred towards society and I guess reality itself, because he wasn't dealt with a very good hand. But the thing is, it doesn't appear that Jonathan has a greater purpose either, because his only goal I have seen so far is that, well, he wants to impress his father and be a good person, I guess. That's not much of an aspiration, now is it? And Dio's aspiration is that he just wants to watch the world burn or something like that. I mean, maybe I'm mistaken and maybe there are some brilliant nuance here that I am not seeing. But the matter of the fact is that this is extremely boring. So, I guess you failed at showing us the nuance and the message you were trying to portray to us.
Dio sees Jonathan as everything he isn't and never had the chance to be. To Dio, Jonathan is a spoiled weakling who deserves nothing of his family's fortune or any respect.
Okay, I guess I can agree with that. But we don't know enough about Dio to just assume that. I mean, whatever. I can say that. So he's just frustrated and he's taking the frustration out on Jonathan because, catharsis. Oh, you are probably right. And this doesn't need to be addressed anymore.
He systematically goes through each separate part of Jonathan's life and inflicts as much damage as possible.
Systematically, I think you are mistaken. He just does ever what pisses Jonathan off. I get the feeling that Dio wants Jonathan to snap, because Dio likes to watch the world burn. I get the feeling that Dio wants Jonathan to be more like him and join in him in the dark side. And this feels more like, well, training rather than a hateful attempt or, whatever you said. Because, Dio just systematically does stuff. Which he doesn't, by the way. I don't think Dio is manipulative. I mean, sure, he is when he becomes a cult leader and stuff like that. And I guess he is when he tries to earn his father's trust. But not really manipulative towards Jonathan. It's just, he has leadership abilities, so people just follow him. I don't know, he's pretty upfront about most things. Except to his father, I guess.
Before long, it becomes obvious that Dio is more manipulative and just plain evil than we ever originally gave him credit for.
No, he ain't evil.
In the beginning, Jonathan can't even comprehend why Dio is doing this to him.
Even at the end, Jonathan can't comprehend why he would do something like that.
And when he does actually stand up to Dio at the end of episode 1, we feel elated. There's a real schoolyard feeling of the weakling finally kicking the bully's ass.
Actually, I didn't feel that, relief coming out from the first episode. I was like, well, there are 24 more episodes. Or 5, I don't know. Oh my god. I have to stay through 25 of this nonsense. I think I would rather drop JoJo.
And we're proud of Jonathan.
Not really. I mean, I don't like both of them. Dio makes more sense, I guess. His behavior is extremely cruel, but I guess it makes a bit sense considering his upbringing. While, I don't know what Jonathan Joestar is. And I was always wondering, is he one of those virtue signaling bastards? And I was with Dio on this one. I just wanted to see what he is really like.
We know what made him that way, and that understanding brings a level of complexity to his character often missing from villains.
Nah, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of reasons why villains are villains in most media. even the most irredeemable. I hate to say irredeemable, by the way. Like Bondriud the novel. I mean, I did a whole video about evil mad scientists. Go check it out. The rest of this video is, well, I don't really disagree with much. Like how the second season is better than the first, and I guess every other season is better than the first two. If you want my opinion, I think you should start the JOJO series with Stardust Crusaders and watch Battle Tendency as a prequel. Because trust me, there are more central characters in Stardust Crusaders than even Battle Tendency. There's a lot more chemistry in their team dynamic, and everyone gets an opportunity to shine, I guess. So anyone who's going to start watching JoJo's, I suggest you start with part 3, Stardust Crusaders.